Hey gang, I thought I could actually make a legitimate contribution to our do-it-yourself forum. Some of you guys might think this is kind of dumb, some of you guys might don't know it, but for the most part, it seems like a lot of people don't. I just had to remove a bubble flare fitting, you can see that, from a rubber brake line going into a brass block over a differential. And you know, if you grab this with a ratchet, and some of you guys are gonna think, holy shit, that's fucking junk, that's super corroded. Well, actually, I guarantee you I could reuse this if I wanted, but I'm not going to. But some of you guys who live in the salt belt, that have to deal with corroded shit, don't know little things like this. And actually, my father-in-law told me about it. And a lot of people always think I'm crazy when I do it. If you take an impact gun and put it on a stuck fitting, such as this brake line fitting, and lightly trigger it, so you get that rattling. And electric impact guns are the best for this. Air is still good, but electrics are the best because they vibrate more. It will knock that fucking corrosion loose right around the edge of the threads and break it loose normally. So what I did is I took a pair of vice grips, actual Irwin brand vice grips. I've fucking used Craftsman, I've used Blue Point, I've used generics. Irwin is where it's at. Irwin vice grips. Don't fucking buy anything else. Spend the extra fucking $8 unless you're like seriously living in fucking poverty. But anyway, with shit like this, if you put an impact on a C's fastener, bolt, fitting, whatever, it will actually break it loose. Whereas a ratchet, normally you're gonna break shit, especially in the situation that I'm talking about. You're gonna fucking twist things. It's gonna fuck up. It's not gonna be good. You throw an electric impact on it. I'm fucking serious. I fought with this thing for like a half an hour, just fucking around. And I thought, fuck it, you know what? I'm gonna do the impact trick, and it spun loose. I've done this on bolts, fucking fittings, anything you can name it of, and it'll bust it loose. I'm also a big fan of the air hammer. Another thing I'd like to touch on too, I'm like really good at extraction. As far as seized and broken shit, like I'm the fucking guy you want to talk to if you ever got a really stuck fucking fitting, because I've fucking done it all. Trust me, I've done some seriously bad shit. Broke off taps. If you have a broken off tap, the first time we dealt with it at a previous employer I worked for, there was a tap broke off in the cylinder head of a Caterpillar C15 engine, and the guy got some dumb fucking tap extractors. I wasn't on the job myself, but the guy got some stupid fucking tap extractors, and guess what? They broke. Because they're fucking junk. They don't work. It's not gonna happen. If you have a broken off tap in something, here's what I'm gonna tell you to do. And I've done this numerous times. My current employer, my foreman, he's been spinning wrenches for about 20 years. And like myself, he's been basically taking shit apart and trying to put it back together since he could hold a wrench. He wasn't too thrilled about it, and a couple of the other guys thought I was fucking nuts because I came into work one day and they said, "Oh, there's a tap broke off in the cylinder head. You've got some carbiding to do." And first of all, I'm thinking like, yeah, that's cool. I'll finish your shit. But whatever. I walked over and I was like, nah, I ain't gonna carbide it out. "Oh, what are you gonna do?" Walked over and grabbed a fucking torch. Now, if you put a torch on a tap, the tap will get cherry fucking red. Cherry fucking red. And once that tap gets cherry red, you hit the oxygen and blow it apart. It will literally dissipate. You might have to do it a couple times depending on how deep it is. I've done this multiple times. Heat is your best friend. Some of you guys, you know, that are like down in rust-free zones won't get some of the stuff I'm talking about, because you're like, oh god, look at that fitting. How the fuck is that vehicle even working? That's in decent shape, to be honest. I guarantee you. I can clean that up and run that bitch for another 200,000 miles. But anyway, yeah, with a stuck tap, if you break it off, you know, you're going in, you're working it back and forth and whatnot, and everything feels good, and then all of a sudden, it just fucking cracks. No matter if you're using Snap-on or Irwin or fucking the cheapest shit you can buy at your local parts store, it's gonna break off, and you're not gonna get it out with the carbide. You're not gonna get it out any other way but taking a torch, getting it glowing red to the point where it's starting to melt, and hitting it with oxygen, and it will blow apart. And you know what? Honestly, it won't even affect the threads, because taps are so fucking hard, they heat up so fast and they blow apart. Another thing too, this bubble flare. Now, some people take a double flaring kit, and I have a very nice one, and they just push it down for the first stage of a double flare, or yes, inverted double flare, and they put it in and call it good. Now, I think that's pretty fucking dumb. Like, if you're doing that and it's working for you, that's great, but I'm gonna tell you, any fucking parts store that is worth a shit is gonna have these brass adapters, and they're very inexpensive, and you can literally put this in to your wheel cylinder, your brake line fitting, whatever, and then thread a standard 3/16 brake line inverted flare into it. Well, most of you guys probably didn't listen. Some of you probably don't give a shit. Too long didn't read, but I thought that was kind of a helpful hint. Another one too, and this comes from one of my wife's uncles, is when you have stuck shit like nuts and bolts, starter bolts in a fucking cat, all kinds of things, save your birthday candles. Candle wax is invaluable when removing stuck fasteners, and a lot of people don't believe me, but when they walk away from a job and can't get something loose, and then I get it loose in 15 minutes, I'm gonna lean towards the fact of that paraffin is your friend, and candles are full of it. If you heat a housing or a fastener up hot as fuck and stuff a candle into it, birthday candles in particular, because they're nice and small, the wax will actually travel through the threads naturally. It's like penetrating oil on Ambien. Like, it will literally take over the fucking threads. There's been so many fucking stuck starter bolts, so many, and you heavy duty guys know what I'm talking about, that I have heated up the housing, which is aluminum, and I'm not going to talk about metallurgy and all that bullshit, because I've never heard of a fucking bell housing snapping off after I replace a starter. And you jam that fucking candle into it, and you walk away and have a smoke, and come back and pop that bitch, and those bitch bolts, they come right out. Alright guys, I hope this actually helps some of you guys. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you're probably thinking like, I just wasted fucking 8 minutes of my life. But I thought it was a handy tips to know.